with another episode of The Crossover with your host, Ravi and B. This week, it's all about bringing the Yuletide spirit, in this case, to the NBA. NBA games for Christmas Day, 5 games on tap. Ravi, I think in this case, we're looking to discuss kind of like, look at the matchups. Should the NBA start considering a flex schedule on Christmas Day? Considering we have certain teams that really have no business, in my mind, being on the featured day when it comes to the NBA regular season. What's your thoughts on it? I mean, Pelicans Heat at 12 o'clock. We got some good matches in the middle of the slate with the Thunder and the Bulls. Rockets and Spurs at 8, and of course the big matchup with the last year's finals. But unfortunately, we get the nightcap with Kobe, who I think in this case I signed a contract with the NBA with blood. In this case, that he must play on Christmas Day every year that he's played. I think it's only maybe 1 or 2 years he's never played. Like his team's never been there.
Yeah,
it might be his rookie season.
I think they need to start looking at that stuff. I think especially the last couple of years he hasn't played.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't played, and it's just been this ragtag bunch of Lakers on national TV for really no good reason.
Well, the embarrassment was last year when they get lit up by 30.
That's exactly it. Exactly it. I mean, you want some competitive games. Christmas is the big, for a lot of aside from the hardcore fans, for the casual fans, Christmas Day is kind of the unofficial, beginning of the season.
You're right.
For casual fans.
Yeah, exactly.
And to kick it off, I mean, you have a really, I think they have a strong schedule in terms of games,
mm-hmm.
but again, you always seem to find that one team or that one match which just doesn't quite fit.
Yeah, I think the NBA in my mind looks like they're almost like they're trying to do two things at one time. They're trying to take kind of the NFL principle when it comes to Thanksgiving, where Dallas and Detroit play every year on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Come hell or high water, no matter what the records are, they will be on. And with Detroit, it's usually pretty bad. They'll always be on Thanksgiving. There's a history behind why that's the case. Fine. You can do it that way. I have no problem with that from a traditional standpoint. If you do it that way, I know for years the Knickerbockers were kind of that type of thing for Christmas Day. The Knicks used to usually almost always be on, until a lesser extent the Lakers as well too. Fine, I get that in this case here, but they're not really doing that anymore. So they're kind of this in between land. They're not going wholeheartedly into the best matchups possible. I mean, I guess when he started the season, the Pelicans were considered to be kind of like a hot rising team. I get that, and the Heat you thought would be pretty good. So things hasn't worked out well for the New Orleans side. But there's no way in anyone's right mind anyone thought LA was going to be a good team this year. The Lakers were going to be a horrible team. It didn't matter who they're playing. So I don't know why you're sticking with that in this case here. Like, is Kobe that big of a draw in this case still on Christmas Day? Really? I mean,
and there was no guarantee to see at the start of the season that he was actually going to be healthy and playing.
Even though he might even be retired before the season started. I'm just shaking my head with this, man. There's got to be enough West Coast teams out there that actually consider somebody else. Phoenix. I mean, true, they don't have any marquee names, but I mean, there had to be some better options out there. Portland, something, but like that, that's just brutal, man. For 10:30, sorry, especially for folks in the East Coast. I mean, heck, you're looking at that point. At that point of the night, pretty much, is like you watch the game where you start playing dominoes and stuff like that. Like, yeah, and I think the Dominoes are winning at that point. Sorry, folks. Double six is winning at that point, man. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. You got anything else to add this? I mean, I don't know. I think really flex scheduling, add at least maybe 2 other games just as backup. If you think the schedule is going to look a little weak, or maybe 1 game, just have that one plugged in as you see fit.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I'm definitely not opposed to it. I think it's something they need to start looking at, beginning next season.
Yeah.
Again, you want to have it. It's a marquee day, marquee matchups in the league, and you want to have those types of games to not only satisfy the hardcore fans, but really give the casual fans something to look forward to.
Let me ask you another thing. Now, we didn't talk about this offline, but now since we're getting the discussion, that kind of last point, do you think there's too many games on at Christmas?
I think in recent years, yes, there's been too many games.
Yeah.
I think, I think in years past, I think Christmas games used to get maybe 2 big games.
Yep.
You know, it used to be Chicago, New York, and then you finish up with a West Coast team.
Right.
And I think now there's just you have about 6 or 7 games on at a.
Well, they started. Yeah, they had the 2 as always you said before. Then I think for a few years they had 3. I kind of like that. We had kind of an earlier game. And it was 3.
Yeah, they always had that 12:30 game.
Right. And
then the 12:30 followed by the 3:30 game.
Right.
And then you finish off with the 5:30, 6 o'clock game.
I kind of like that, but I guess in this case here, to address West Coast fans that might want to have something to dinner, they added 2 more games at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit much in this case here. Like, I don't know if you're spreading yourself thin. You definitely own the day, but the NBA always owned Christmas Day, so it wasn't like any other sport was going to kind of say, let me slide in here. You know.
And to me, it's kind of watering down the product a little bit because you're taking away from. I mean, everyone's looking forward to obviously seeing Golden State and Cleveland go at it again. But you got to get through all this other stuff to get to that.
Well, yeah, and I think, to your point, I think I look at it from the other way too. It used to be like, okay, true players will tell you in this case they want to be home with their family instead of playing Christmas Day, but there's a bit ego involved too. And if you're playing Christmas Day, you're a big deal.
Yeah.
You put 5 games on with 10, or 10 teams in total. It's like, well, now it's like any jabroni can be on Christmas Day now. It's like, really? Like,
that's what I'm saying. You're watering down the product.
Yeah.
It's not as special and as exclusive as it used to be in years past.
Right. Yeah, I think I think they really have to look into that and kind of like maybe trim that down. Maybe it's 4 games. Maybe it's two in the afternoon, 2 in the evening. And leave it at that. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you start the games at, instead of a 12 o'clock game, maybe it's a 2 o'clock game. You start from then.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you start going to 5 games, you're really starting to push it a little bit.
Yeah, because then it just seems like it end up looking like it's kind of white noise. And look, right? I mean, we're pure hardcore NBA fans. Okay, I'll put money on it that you have not watched all 5 of those games. And one Christmas year.
I will not watch all 5 of those games.
No, but you never have watched all 5 of those games.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I watched the marquee matchups on Christmas Day, and that's about it.
Right. I mean, yeah, I'm with you.
That is about it. I mean, the late night, the nightcap, I think in years past, at the couple years, we've gotten some...
the Golden State Clippers one was a sweeper
game that it turned out really well that we weren't expecting to.
Well, I knew Golden State Clippers was the one I was waiting for last year, the year before. I was waiting for that one. They always had the melee right there. That was the one I was waiting for that night. I was like, forget Heat. I think it was Heat, Spurs. Like, forget that. I was like, look at that. But you're right. I mean, like, that early game is kind of cool. You have that there as you're getting ready to go and meet the family members. I always felt the 2 o'clock game might have been the most awkward one because usually you're in the midst of traveling.
Yeah.
And so I always find that's the game where it's like, it's like, maybe you put it at 1 o'clock and you have a little space between the games or something like that. And then, maybe you want to put a show in between that, knock yourself out. But, and one last thing just to wrap it up. What's your thoughts? I mean, they do split time now, but I'm wondering your thoughts of just having the TNT guys have that entire day instead of ABC too. I mean, I know there's an issue of ABC, of course, being, that ABC's in everyone's living room, so you're getting the maximum. So from a business case, it makes sense. But from going back to our marquee standpoint, let's face it, TNT is like, the number 1 station when it comes to hoops. So, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, like, if it was my perfect world, it'd be like 4 games, we're going back to 3, and have the TNT guys just do it for the day. Maybe 3 games and TNT do it.
I mean, for me, I like the consistency of it throughout the day. So, I mean, if you go back to the early days when they started playing on Christmas, when I started watching, you would have the different games. You have different guys doing different games, obviously, but half times, at the end of games, previews, it all went back to that NBC studio, and I had my 4 guys there.
Right.
So I had a sense of consistency throughout the day. So I had, whether you had Peter Vesey, Hannah Storm, Bill Walton in studio with Dr. J sometimes there. Right. I had, that was the central hub that you would go back to.
Right.
So, for me personally, I like that consistency throughout the day.
Right, because now it's split now. Like
exactly.
Yeah, the 2 games at night are with TNT. And I think they're not really maximizing those guys on TNT at 8 o'clock at that point. I mean, you imagine the primetime game 5 o'clock with Cleveland and Golden State, and you got Chuck and the fellas. Before that, since ABC's gotten basketball, their play-by-play guys have been Chris. You got Hubie and stuff. That's on point. But they never found a really good desk team where it's like, yeah, I want to hear what they have to say. Never have.
Yeah. I mean, right now they have Sage Steele, they have Jalen, they have Doug Collins, I think.
Yeah, but I'm going to take a bathroom break at that point. I'm not sitting around waiting to hear their assessments or anything. I got no issue with any of them in this case, but I just don't feel a lot of chemistry or a lot of excitement when I'm going oh, let me wait. There's nothing there. I mean, to your point with NBC or even going back to CBS back in the day, they used to have some interesting thing when you have I think Musburger might have been desk. Can't remember who else was on there. But either their studio or going back to NBC for sure, you're going back. It's let me hear what's going on. Of course, TNT has that down pat. I just find the ABC broadcast that they never found a good desk team that I would sit around and say, I'm going to keep 15 minutes here to watch what they have to say.
Yeah, I think ABC, they switched it up a couple times. They had Bill Simmons in there. They had Magic on there for a little while. So it always seemed like they just brought guys together and it didn't really seem organic, organic chemistry, if you want to say.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. But anyhow, man, I think we'll cut it off for today, man. Ravi, right now, out there, man, in the streets of the T-Dot right now, and myself, B. You can find me at Beyond Locker Room, short for RM. And Ravi, where can you find you? You
guys can find me on Instagram at Ravi and Brian.
All right, Instagram tonight. Okay, so folks, we'll see you guys next week. Happy holidays. Where if that's the case, Merry Christmas for those in this case that celebrate. Enjoy the weekends. Be safe, and we'll catch you guys before the New Year next week, man. Maybe we'll have something special for you that week.
That's right.
All right, man. Take care.